Call a regular scheduled meeting for the Common Council, City of Beckley, for March the 8th, 2022 to order. This is a WebEx event. And first order of business, reading and approval of the minutes from the regular council meeting dated February 22nd, 2022. So we have a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Okay, that's Janine.
And second.
Yes.
Second, Mr. Dunlap. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of February 22nd, 2022. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed by a like sign. That motion carries. Thank you. Next order of business, first reading of an ordinance authorizing the City of Beckley to accept property from Pinecrest Development Corporation. Mr. Fowle?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, sir. Tonight is the first reading of an ordinance that has been discussed at several prior meetings. This regards the Pinecrest Development Corporation deeding to the City of Beckley 142.27 acres of land that's owned in the Pinecrest Industrial Park. I will read this ordinance by title, and then if passed tonight on first reading, we will have a public hearing and second reading at the next meeting, which will be on the 22nd of March. And this ordinance will require that not only council adopt this, but council in adopting it will be recognizing that it will assume the debt against this land, which is in the amount of $325,645.72. This is the amount that Pinecrest Development owes on a note that is backed or secured by this property. Also, the City of Beckley will be agreeing to assume the $1,500 per month rent payment to Forward Southern West Virginia, which is on behalf of the New River Gorge Regional Development Authority. That is where their offices are located. And part of the agreement is that so long as they occupy the space there, the City of Beckley will assume this debt. Pinecrest at the same time will be assigning to the city all of its leases and any rights it has regarding the Pinecrest Plaza South. The income that's generated from Pinecrest Plaza South more than covers the debt obligation and more than covers the rental obligation the city will have to Forward Southern West Virginia. So it is certainly a win-win proposition. And of course, the city is agreeing to develop this property as was started by Pinecrest Development Corporation. The city will and has agreed to proceed with not only the development, but improving the infrastructure to this property. So it is obviously an exciting time for the city, and what an opportunity to receive this property. This ordinance is titled, an ordinance authorizing the City of Beckley to accept from Pinecrest Development Corporation a certain tract or parcel of land consisting of 142.27 acres. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Fowle. Much appreciated for your description of the ordinance itself and some of the requirements and benefits of this ordinance. So with that, I would entertain, prior to any further discussion, a motion to approve this ordinance on the first reading, and would accept that motion now.
So moved.
Mr. Price, we have a second?
Second.
And that is Cody. Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the reading, to accept the ordinance as described by Mr. Fowle on the first reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed by a like sign, that motion carries. Thank you.
Mayor, I believe the second was, I believe the mayor, Tom Sofer, was the one that made the second.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. It was Tom.
Oh, I'm sorry. Misunderstood sounded like Cody to me. So that was Tom Sofer for the second. Thank you. Okay. Next order of business. First reading of an ordinance reenacting and amending the City of Beckley Code Chapter 4. Mr. Fowle?
Yes, sir, Mayor. I will once again read this ordinance by title, If approved tonight, we will have a second reading and public hearing at the meeting on March the 22nd. What this ordinance does is it updates the City of Beckley Building Code, and this keeps us in compliance with the State of West Virginia Code. This is something we do periodically as the legislature updates the state building code, which is pursuant to what the West Virginia State Fire Commission requires, and this is all done pursuant to the West Virginia Code. Then the City of Beckley is asked to adopt the amendments that are made and to reenact the state building code into its City of Beckley code. This is the code that Donnie Morgan, our Chief Code Enforcement Officer, enforces. And I will read this ordinance by title. This ordinance is titled Ordinance Reenacting and Amending City of Beckley Code Chapter 4, Article 1, Sections 4-9, 4-9.1, 4-10, 4-11, and 4-12. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Fowle. And as Mr. Fowle said, this is a fairly routine ordinance that allows the city's code regulations to exactly mirror the state code. And the late Mr. Cannon was very attentive in making sure that we were always in step with the state, and certainly Captain Morgan has followed through in that same fashion to keep us concurrent with the state code. So with that, if there's no, let's see, do we have a motion to accept the ordinance on the first reading as described by Mr. Fowle?
Moved.
Okay, that was,
Second.
is that Kevin and Tom?
Yes, sir.
Very good, thank you. All righty, we have a motion to accept the ordinance as described by Mr. Fowle regarding the code updates. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed by a like sign, that motion carries. Next, second reading and public hearing of an ordinance authorizing the City of Beckley to purchase a tract of real estate. Mr. Fowle.
Yes, sir. Tonight is the second reading. The first reading having taken place on February 22nd of this year. And what this ordinance does is this will authorize the city to proceed with purchasing a tract of real estate, which is known as lot number 418 of the Hedrick Walker Carter edition. And the consideration that will be paid is $12,000. This is because the Beckley Sanitary Board is doing a sanitary and storm sewer infrastructure project in the vicinity of Carter Street and City Avenue. This is property that the Sanitary Board needs to acquire in order to continue with this project. And the Sanitary Board will be responsible to pay the consideration for this property if approved tonight. Now, this ordinance is titled An Ordinance Authorizing City of Beckley to Purchase a Tract of Real Estate on Carter Street in the Hedrick Walker Carter edition, described as lot number 418, and a portion of an 18-foot alley located off of Carter Street. At this time, I will open a public hearing and ask Amy if there is anyone on that, or anyone who is asked to be heard on this ordinance tonight.
Yes, sir. I don't see anyone signed up for comment.
Okay, thank you, Amy. I will close the public hearing and turn this back over to you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Fowle. Do we have a motion to approve the ordinance as described by Mr. Fowle regarding the purchase of this property as described on Carter Street? Would entertain that motion now.
So moved.
Tom?
Second.
Second, Kevin and Janine. So we have a motion and second to approve the ordinance describing the purchase of this property in favor of a Beckley Sanitary Board upgrade. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by a like sign, that motion carries. Thank you. Next, second reading and public hearing of an ordinance authorizing the City of Beckley to purchase another tract of real estate in that same vicinity on Carter Street. Mr. Fowle?
Yes, sir, Mayor. This ordinance that once again was passed first reading on February 22nd of this year authorizes the city to proceed with purchasing at the request of the Beckley Sanitary Board another tract regarding the same infrastructure project over in the vicinity of Carter Street and City Avenue. The consideration for this property is $8,000. It will be a consideration that the sanitary board will pay. This ordinance is titled, "An Ordinance Authorizing City of Beckley to Purchase a Tract of Real Estate in the Vicinity of Carter Street and City Avenue in the Hedrick Walker Carter edition, as shown on tax map 32, as parcels 28, 29, 30, 31, 139, and 140 in the City of Beckley District." Amy, once again, I'll ask if anyone has joined us that would like to be heard at the public hearing, which I am opening at this time.
Again, I don't see anyone signed up.
Thank you, Amy. We'll close the public hearing, and Mayor, turn this back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Fowle. We have a motion and a second to approve this purchase again on Carter Street in favor of a Beckley Sanitary Board upgrade as described by Mr. Fowle. Would entertain that motion now.
Moved. Second. So moved.
Mr. Dunlap and Councilman Bob.
Yes.
Very good. Okay, we have motion and second to approve this ordinance on the second reading as described by Mr. Fowle. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by a like sign. That motion carries. Mr. Fowle, I would request permission to adjust the order of the next ordinance to actually skip down to number 9, which I think comes into play and should be considered in the approval of the ordinance authorizing the City of Beckley to accept a gift from Harper Reynolds. That is the receipt of the bids for the roof repair of the WJLS building. Is that in order?
Yes, sir. I believe that would be in order, Mayor. I believe we're down to the stage that could be done.
Okay. Mr. Trump, do we have, I know you advertised for roof repair bids for the WJLS building. Can you advise us of the results of those?
We received one bid at City Hall by the deadline for the roof repair. It's right here, it's sealed. Right now, it's the date and time to open it, and the bid is from Fry Roofing. And looking at the particulars, the bid amount is $96,987 for repair of the roof.
Okay, as a matter of order, Mr. Fowle, that bid will be turned over to Joe Stump, our Director of Public Works, Mr. Trump, 2 council persons at large for review and acceptance and possible award at a future council meeting. With that in mind, what position does that place us in on the item number 7 regarding the WJLS property? Can we move forward with that, or should we await the results of the evaluation of that bid on the roof repair?
Mayor, you can actually move forward with it. In my opinion, there is no requirement that you close until after you make a decision on the roof repair. But this ordinance could be approved if that is council's choice. This ordinance, as you may recall, was tabled at our last meeting. And in order for the ordinance to be considered tonight, it would need to be on second reading. It would need to be done through a motion to bring this matter off of the table, and it would require a second and a vote by council. It would take a majority of council to put it back into an action item. And once that is done, then council would have the option, if it so chose, to pursue a motion to approve on second reading, and then then there would need to be a public hearing and a vote taken.
Okay, very good. Thank you. With that in mind, do we have a motion from council to take the WJLS property donated by Harper Reynolds off of the table in order to vote on its approval or disapproval?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have Hunter and who was the second?
Councilman Bob.
Councilman Bob, thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second to take the matter regarding the acceptance of the WJLS building from Harper Reynolds off the table. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by a like sign, that motion carries. Thank you. Now, Mr. Fowles, I understand it would be proper now to request a motion to approve the acceptance of the WJLS building from Harper Reynolds. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Probably, Mayor, before we do that, should read the ordinance by title.
Okay.
And then we should have a public hearing and then a motion and a second.
Very good. Thank you.
So I will read this ordinance by title. I believe everyone is aware of what property we are discussing tonight. It is the property that Harper Reynolds has offered to give to the city of Beckley. This is a building that was formerly housing the WJLS operation. It's known as the WJLS building. It's lot 25 Main Street in Beckley, which is on the corner of Main and Kanawha. And I'll read this ordinance by title. This ordinance is titled, "An Ordinance Authorizing the City of Beckley to Accept as a Gift from Harper Reynolds, Inc., real property identified as Lot 25, Main Street, commonly known as the WJLS Building." Now, this ordinance was passed on first reading at our meeting on February the 8th, 2022. And then at the next meeting, this ordinance was tabled. That's why it was brought off the table tonight and it's being presented for second reading. I've read it now by title. At this stage, I will ask Amy if there is anybody who is available or is online or is interested in speaking from the public, either in favor of or in opposition to this ordinance. Amy?
Yes, sir. I have Jenna Belcher and I will unmute her now.
Jenna, if you
Jenna,
would
you're
go ahead.
unmuted.
Jenna, if you would go ahead and make your comments, either in favor of or in opposition to this ordinance. Thank you.
Sure. Hi, council. I'm not sure if you all can see me. Can you hear me okay?
We hear you.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I did want to speak in favor of the building, the city acquiring this space. We have been working behind the scenes to identify some expansion space for the Hive. As you all know, we're located on 205 South Kanawha Street, and we are rapidly outgrowing that space. In conversation with the mayor, as well as Billy Trump and others, we identified that it would be pretty conducive for us to potentially locate a sort of local makers marketplace in this facility and business incubation space in complement to the business hub space that we currently have. Additionally, I would ask that before the city invest funds directly into any repairs associated with this, we discuss the capital stacking of the project, because we do actually have access to some potential grant funds that could help redevelop the space, and the city's funds would be best utilized as match for those and would go further, especially the roof costs that we just discussed. Should that contract be awarded, that's a pretty substantial amount of match that could be included with our grant request for the redevelopment of the rest of the space. So I'm happy to take any questions about what we think might be a potential use of the space. But at this point, we do feel like we would be willing to help support the city in master planning and redevelopment of the space.
Thank you, Jenna.
Any
Amy,
questions?
has anybody else signed up or asked to be heard tonight on this matter?
I don't see anyone else signed up.
Okay, thank you, Amy. I will close the public hearing at this time.
Prior to that, do we have any questions of Jenna and her remarks on potential plans for the building from any member of council? Okay, Mr. Fowle, if you'd like to close that hearing.
Yes, sir. I will close the public hearing, Mayor, and it's been turned back over to you.
Very good. With that in mind, do we have a motion to approve on the second reading and public hearing of this ordinance authorizing the city of Beckley to accept as a gift from Harper Reynolds, the real property formerly known as the WJLS building in Beckley? Do we have a motion to accept that ordinance on the second reading?
Moved.
Second.
You have a motion and a second? Was that Sherry seconded?
Kevin made the motion.
Kevin made the motion. Very good. We have a motion and a second on this acceptance of this property from Harper Reynolds. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Mayor, I'd like to say, I'd like to thank Jessica Chandler for her due diligence to ask Matt a few questions about the building, showing that it had a positive cash flow as of today, and kind of reinforcing that it's not a bad, it's not a bad deal at all. And if Jenna has opportunities to use some like historic, historic landmark grants or something of that nature to fix that roof, that'd be wonderful. And I think it's a pretty good deal. It's close to the campus. Hopefully we can draw some students to that corner of Beckley and maybe re-energize the uptown area a little bit, at least from that corner to the school.
Very good. And Tom, thank you for your launching that due diligence on the questions presented to Jessica. Thank you very much. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, if not, I'll ask for a vote regarding the approval of the ordinance as described and discussed. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by a like sign. That motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, next, item number 8, approval of the fiscal year 2022-2023 budget. Mr. Trump?
Yes, sir. I submitted to council a fairly comprehensive copy of our proposed budget for the fiscal 22-23 year. And we do have to submit this budget by in the month of March to the state auditor's office for approval. So the one thing about it, we do budget revisions. So as we move forward and identify other areas, maybe extra revenue or carryover, we will be able to amend the budget. There is one thing, the state had problems getting some of the tax information forwarded to the county so that we could get that. So I need to make one amendment in that the ad valorem, the current ad valorem, instead of $2,810,100 will actually be $2,827,585, an increase of $17,485. And since we have to account for all of the revenue on the expense side, we just moved the $17,485 into contingencies, and that makes contingencies $417,485. But if anyone has any questions about the amount, content, or anything in the budget, I'll be happy to address those now.
Very good. And just to further explain your the slight delay in the ad valorem tax calculations, assessor Summer just delivered those yesterday. So thanks for getting that worked in and adjusted. And Billy, thank you and Jessica for the great work you do to make the budget approval so understandable and so far so acceptable by the state. So thank you both very much. So with that, we have a motion to approve the fiscal 2022-23 budget as presented by Mr. Trump.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Janine seconded, and who made the motion? Sorry,
Councilman Bob.
Councilman Bob, with Janine seconding. Okay, we have a motion to second to approve the 2022-23 budget. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the budget approval for the 2022-2023 budget period, indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed by a like sign. That motion carries. Thank you very much. Under old business, I think the only thing I have is I sent a memo out today regarding a matter that will ultimately require city's common council's approval regarding a rate study and new rates for the Beckley Sanitary Board that haven't been adjusted in the case of stormwater rates for 15 years, in the case of sanitary sewer rates for 7 years. So that workshop will be a week from yesterday, Monday, March the 4th at 5:05 p.m. in council, in person. Masks will be optional. We will have representatives from our CPA consultant who consults not only with the Beckley Sanitary Board, but with a number of other municipalities across the state and supervises rate studies such as we've done here, along with a former Morgantown Sanitary Board member of, I think in the neighborhood of 20 years, who is now a consultant with Thrasher Engineering. So they will also be present for any discussion or questions. And as always, Jeremiah Johnson and his staff will provide a very detailed explanation of what's gone into this multiple month rate study. So that will be next Monday at 5:05 p.m. in council chambers. So that's all. I think that's all I have under old business. Anything from any member of council under old business?
I have something, Mayor. I had a constituent reach out to me over the past week from East Street, wondering if there's any update on the houses that caught on fire, of like what the process is for them to get tore down.
You know, I think, and we have this all over town over the years. I always remember the one on North Canal Street following a fire. There's a certain procedure that has to take place legally, and Mr. Fowler and Mr. Trump may chime in on this. There are insurance matters and clauses in the insurance policy that may include some debris cleanup. Anyhow, it's just a matter of time. And sadly, without making any judgments, both of those houses on East Street that I've observed over the years, in my opinion, had problems long before the fire. So, you know, we're all anxious to get that cleaned up. But in my opinion, and I'll ask Mr. Fowle and Mr. Trump, and if Captain Morgan's on the line, for any further estimate on when that might take place. In my mind, it's just a matter of the steps the hurdles we have to cross before we can actually take those down.
Right, Mayor, we need to work through and give notice to the insurance carriers of these properties prior to the removal.
Okay.
That will be done. That will assure that we should have the ability to recoup any costs to the city when these structures are removed.
Very good. Very good. Captain Morgan, if you're on the line, do you have any further comments on that matter?
We had started the notification process, and we've ran a legal ad for all those structures. So I think the municipal court hearing for those will be on the 30th. And then we can proceed after that once we get everything else taken care of.
Very good. Thank you. Billy, any further comments?
Sir, it's just, we have to follow the prescribed steps. And unfortunately, it takes a long time. I think if you'll notice right there at the intersection of Johnstown and Kanawha Street, they're beginning demolition on a house that burned, several months ago. And, that's in a real prominent place, and it just takes time to get to them.
Right, right. Once they're down, it's a great thing, but it does, as you say, we have to follow the steps. Thank you, Mr. Fowle, Captain Morgan, Billy. Anything else from any member of council under old business?
Mayor, I've reported to council separately as best I can. I'll just address it really quickly. I think by the last time we had a council meeting, we had a recruitment, I guess I want to call it a meeting with about around 17 to 20 students from Woodrow Wilson regarding the lifeguarding positions and attracting interest. These 17 students were ones that were already sort of pre-vetted as for the athleticism as well as the frankly motivation to serve in this capacity. After meeting with those individuals, we weeded through the applications and found 10 really good applicants. And I've had a conversation with the mayor council about maybe looking into, instead of waiting for a certification class to happen when it normally happens sometime at the end of this month, the beginning of next month, whenever it's set. And again, we're at the control of other third parties, maybe finding a trainer and certifier and trying to frankly set up our own certification instead of relying on third party individuals to tap into one of their certification classes. So we're also reaching out, of course, to Tech, which has the swim team, and other local high schools. But I'm really encouraged that, and frankly, very, very tickled at the guidance counselor staff at Woodrow Wilson High School. They're really quality people, and these kids that have stepped forward we're surprisingly mature and frankly all together. I kind of just expected to be speaking before a group of children, and they were really some really tight young people. I mean, I was just really excited to hear these folks talk about what their aspirations are and why working at this type of a job would be something meaningful to them. It was exciting. So I know we haven't reported on it for a minute, but I don't want council to think that my efforts or Miss Baker's efforts have kind of quelled. We're still working, and in the event that there are persons in the community, this was Miss Baker's suggestion, and I think it's terrific, are interested in serving in some sort of a capacity, whether it be on a committee or what have you, to aid in recruitment energies. She was really open to that, so I love that idea, because we want to create a long systemic protocol for recruitment of junior lifeguards, so that we never are in a situation where in future years we're catching up with finding individuals to man the pools. We want to have a group that we've trained in prior years as junior lifeguards. So if any member of the community wants to zing me an email, the Beckley City website has our respective email addresses, and I'm more than happy to connect folks with recruitment opportunities so we can all be involved in being a part of the solution. Thank you for the time, Mayor.
Very good. Thank you, sir, for above and beyond and for your truly volunteer effort to hopefully aid in solving a many generation problem. But that's great. I think your approach has a great chance of being successful, and thanks to you for taking that on. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anything else from any member of council under old business?
Yes, Mayor, I have something. This is Tom.
All right.
Yes, sir. it's more or less like more of another public service announcement about the YMCA soccer field and the parking lot that's in the very back. And what happened the other night is somebody got locked in there. And like about dusk, I guess the maintenance person there goes and locks the gate. And then people get locked behind the gate with their car because they're out on the trails, hiking and get back to their car and find out they can't get out of the parking lot. And Gary Moorfield called me and asked me, if I knew how to get the gate open or if I knew anybody. So I know the police were called, or the fire department was called to try to, assist the people. And maybe we need to make a small phone call to the Y, or maybe Jerry can put a sign up there, educating people the fact that that gate gets locked at dusk. And, the anxiety of someone locked on the other side of the gate, it's pretty scary sometimes. So anyway, I wanted to bring that to people's attention. Thank you.
Very good, and we'll consult with the Y on that matter. And I think there is signage, whether it explicitly says that the gate closes at dusk or not. But if I'm not mistaken, it does list the open hours from daylight till dusk. But and I guess they always have the option of parking on this side of the gate before you actually enter the complex per se. But it's more of a walk for people. I understand that. So we'll check with Jay to see if we can come up with something that's more agreeable to the public. Thank you.
Or at least that the fire department has a key to that gate. So if that happens, the city can be, called upon, and then someone can run out there, when they have time to unlock the gate for the people.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Very good. Anything from any other member of council under old business?
Mayor, this is Janine. I don't know. I guess this is old business and new business, but I want to thank Mr. Morgan and Beckley Police Department for helping out. A lot of our abandoned houses, they've got vagrants going inside of them. So I just wanted to thank them all for helping out with that problem.
Now that's a ongoing issue for sure, but thank you. Anything else from a member of council under old business? Anything from any member of council under new business?
Mayor, this is Sherry. I want to thank Chief Christian and the other law enforcement agencies that were able to make a really big dent in firearms that were taken off the streets of Beckley. So thank you, Chief, and Sheriff Van Meter, and everyone that was a part of that big initiative. It made a big difference. So thank you, Chief, and other agencies. We appreciate it.
Anything else from any member of council under new business? Amy, do we have anybody signed up for public comments?
Oh, Mayor, I'm sorry. This is Janine again. You didn't mention about the Salvation Army tomorrow.
Very good. I'm glad you mentioned that. And I had that in my earlier notes, but it didn't make it to this page. So good, yeah. At noon tomorrow, a very exciting event for the city of Beckley and certainly the Salvation Army. There'll be a ribbon cutting at the new site on the corner of Robert C. Byrd and Ellison Avenue at noon tomorrow. And we'd invite anybody who has a few minutes to come out and celebrate a very, very happy and historic occasion to do so. I plan to be there, and thank you, Janine, for bringing that up. Okay, anything else from any member of council under new business? Okay, Amy, do we have anybody signed up for public comments?
Yes, sir. I don't see anyone signed up.
Okay, well, with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And seconded.
we stand adjourned. Thank you all for your attention and productivity. Much appreciated. Have a great evening. See ya.
Thank you and good night.